If you're someone who's worried about what the future holds for your business because of AI and how fast things are moving, you're not alone. A lot of people are feeling the same way, and here's what you need to know. AI is very clearly moving so fast that we don't even know what skills or tools are worth learning anymore. Everyone is scrambling to learn the latest AI tools, whether that's ChatGPT, Claude Code, and now even OpenClaw. And there's so much more. I could go on for so long that it almost feels like the list never ends. But there's something that many are missing. While learning all of these tools are important, it can sometimes be a waste of your time, and let me explain what I mean. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what AI skills actually matter and which ones are going to make you money. In a time where it feels like there's a new AI tool coming out every single week and more people's jobs and businesses are becoming irrelevant, these skills are going to be the most important thing that you could learn right now in order to future-proof yourself. So I've put together something that's going to be very helpful for you in order to know which direction you need to start going in, what you need to learn, and how you're going to develop and adopt your business into something that's going to continuously be relevant regardless of what you're offering, because you're going to know these very important AI skills. You see, most people are learning AI wrong. And what I mean by this is when a new tool comes out, yes, people are jumping straight on it, trying to understand every single little feature of the tool. And while learning tools is going to be important, because of course you need to stay up to date with these things and to improve people's workflows and your own, people are confusing that with having to then just be a master on one specific tool and then do everything they can to offer something around that. But that is the wrong approach, because what's happening now is these tools are slowly being overtaken every single month or every time a new big AI tool update comes out, and it's making the previous ones not as relevant anymore. And we've seen that quite clearly with things like automation tools like Make, NAN, and Zapier. While those tools can still be important, we're now seeing things with Claude Code that's allowing you to automate your own workflows by just speaking to it in natural language and not having to do all those tedious automation setups that everyone used to do. And now people who were doing everything they can to build this automation agency building on Make and NAN are slowly becoming irrelevant because so many people are moving to something like Claude Code and all the other custom AI agents that you're able to build. So this leads me into section 1, which is the problem. You see, AI is moving too fast. Now, we're seeing new AI tools released every single week is what it feels like. And what you learn today is going to be outdated in a matter of a few months from what we can tell, because like I mentioned before, people are building something on one specific tool and platform and doing everything they can to just be good at that, only for then new tools to come out to do something better and easier that makes that thing no longer relevant. So people need to stop chasing tools, because that's going to cause an endless hamster wheel of just trying to learn every little detail of all these new softwares that are coming out. Because what's happening is tool knowledge alone has no competitive advantage. Yes, you may know certain features and it would be useful at the time, but the moment something else is now released and is better than it, you're now having to scramble and learn that new thing. You now have to understand more of the foundational and fundamental skills of how you're going to incorporate AI into your own business and to serve other clients. Let me explain. So if tool knowledge isn't valuable enough, then what is? And this leads me into section 2, which is the shift that we are seeing. Now, what is happening with this shift is we are now trying to understand where the real value lies. With all these new tools coming out constantly, you now need to understand what the actual business problems are. Businesses are always going to have problems no matter how much AI is evolving, because there's just going to be new problems to solve. And you now need to do a better job into really figuring out and understanding what business problems are, what they consist of. Depending on the business models, different businesses will have different problems. But the more you can understand that, the more you're able to come to these businesses and provide a clear solution into what they need to do, what AI models they need to adopt in order to help solve these specific problems that they might have. So tools change, but problems will stay the same. Like I said, no matter how much AI evolves, businesses will always have problems. It'll just be new types of problems. So you now need to become the translator and the middleman between businesses and all of this new AI technology that continuously changes. Because let's be honest, businesses always want to grow and be more profitable and make more money, but not everyone, especially business owners, has the time to go and learn all the new and best ways to adopt AI into their specific businesses. So your new role now becomes the problem identifier and an AI orchestrator. This is when you now understand all the latest AI tools. So yes, this is still an important factor, but not by just learning every single feature and every detail of the latest tool. It's by understanding what they can actually do, what's the benefit they can provide to businesses, and how are they going to solve the certain business problems. So as mentioned, your new role is going to be you sitting in the middle of businesses and the AI itself. You're going to be that translator in the middle. You're going to be the person who is helping with the growth operating, but utilizing the latest AI models and ways and methods to implement for people. So you're going to be that person that sits between the problems and the solutions and always come to businesses with the most up-to-date ways to improve their business. Now, this leads me into section 3, which is what do you now learn instead? So if it's not just all the tools, features, and specific details that you need to learn, what do you have to go learn now? So here's what I would say. You need to stop memorizing all these specific tool features because they're most likely just going to get updated, or a new competitor is going to come and be better than it, which is what we're seeing now with things like Claude Code making other softwares irrelevant. And you need to now start understand real business systems, what they actually include, what do businesses value in terms of what's something in their system that's very important that may be time consuming at the moment that can be improved with what's available. And you need to also learn to identify the high value problems for businesses. So look at businesses and then think about what's something that is very valuable to them, that if you're able to solve that problem, it's going to be worth a lot of money to them. Now this allows you now, it opens up the door to not just be restricted or limited to one type of AI tool. You can now plug yourself into these businesses and say that you are someone who provides business solutions utilizing AI. Yes, that's going to be correct, but you're not tying yourself to one tool. And anytime something changes, which is going to always be the case, especially because of how fast we're seeing technology change, you're still going to be someone who's relevant. Your business offering is still going to be something that makes sense to other businesses because you're not now specific to one tool. You're specific to providing a solution utilizing the new technology. So this means that you have to master effective AI communication. You need to essentially make all these complicated topics like what's custom agents, what are AI Claude Code skills, what's an MD file, all of these things you now need to take, learn that information, learn the fundamentals, but then easily translate them to businesses because they're not going to understand all these technical terms. Not everyone is all hands-on with these new tools. So if business owners don't have time to understand all this new language of AI, you need to be the person who sits in the middle and communicates that in a simple way for them to understand and show them the very clear problem that you're going to solve. So this is what I mean by understanding business systems. Let me give you 3 examples. One is going to be e-commerce. Now, let's have a look at what their system roughly looks like. It's something where they will generate traffic to a product page or to their online store, and then they want to have people add to cart, then to checkout, and then they'll have fulfillment. That is roughly what their steps look like. If you can really understand this system and see where you can now plug in some of the latest AI approaches to these businesses, you're going to help solve a very important part of their process. Now, if we look at info products, this is something where you have to have an audience. They'll have something like a lead magnet, then an email sequence, then their sales and delivery. So again, if you really study this, you can start to ask yourself, where can I plug these new ways of the technology that's available to us to this specific info product system? Another example is services. Services would be something like either outreach, and then they'll move on to discovery of the actual brand itself. They might send something like a proposal, then they'll deliver that service and they'll get results, add testimonials to their landing page, etc. These specific systems are quite different in all these 3 areas. However, they all have problems that they can always solve to a better degree. And you need to be that person now that's going to be able to easily communicate that to them show them what's possible, show them how much time they're going to save, how much money they're going to save, or how much more they're going to make as a business, and then start to implement the solution for them. So I mentioned effective AI communication, but let me simply break it down for you so you know exactly what certain areas you need to focus on. One of them would be you need to start to frame problems clearly for the businesses. So yes, they know that they have problems and they know that they have systems that they can fix and improve. But you now need to frame it in a way where you're going to show them how much they're actually missing out on if they don't implement these new ways that you are now presenting to them. And another way would be to provide relevant context. You don't just want to mention these cool new AI models and tools that you can implement in businesses. You need to now think about how is it actually relevant to the business. You need to sit down, study their business model, like I mentioned before, if it's something like e-commerce or a service-based business. Study their problems, because if you really know their style, their business style, they're going to understand it more because it's going to be more relevant to what they offer. And then another way would be to iterate and refine continuously. As I've mentioned multiple times in this video, AI is moving so fast. It's only going to get faster, and we're seeing this with how many new things are coming out all the time. So you need to be ready to iterate, refine, and always be ready to present to businesses the latest solutions. You're still going to be able to solve their business problems, but you're going to be able to tweak and make the changes that are relevant and still help provide these solutions. And you need to start thinking in systems, not just in tasks. So when you're helping a business build a clear system, you're not just focused on the specific little tasks, because like I mentioned, these are going to get easier to solve. Whereas if you're thinking in systems, you can now start to build a clear foundational system for them that's going to make the whole process more easy, more seamless, save them more money, and make them more money. Now, a very important element of being an effective AI communicator is also how you interact with these AI models. Don't be someone who gives bad prompts. Prompting is still a very important way in how you talk to AI and the level of output that you receive, because although so many AI tools are changing, but prompting has still been the most important part of how you work with these AI tools and the level of work you're able to create from these different softwares. So let me give you an example. A bad prompt would be something like, write me a marketing strategy for this business. Because what you've done now is you've opened up the door for AI to be as broad as possible, especially if you're using something like an LLM, like a Claude or a ChatGPT or a Gemini. They're searching through the whole internet. So they're going to have many different options and types of strategies that they're going to spit out as an output. It's not going to be clear enough to what you actually need or what you're servicing for your client. So here's an example of a better prompt. I have an e-com business doing $30K a month with 5,000 email subscribers. The conversion rate is 1.2% and an average order value of $90. The biggest competitor is X. This is where you would put the actual business name. Help me identify the top 3 growth levers and create a clear action plan for each of them. So you see the difference there between a bad and a good prompt. If you ran an e-com business, or if you had an e-com business as your client, which prompt do you think would be better, and which will give you a better output for you to then take and improve the business? The more specific you are with your prompts and the more clear instructions you're giving the AI, no matter what tool you're going to be using, you're going to get a better result. So this is why research is so important when it comes to using AI tools. The more research you do at the start, the more planning you do. For example, if you're using something like Claude Code, if you put that into planning mode first, you're going to get a way better structure and a foundation to start that specific project that you're going to be working on. So focus on doing the right research for the certain businesses you're helping, or if it's to improve your own business, give it as much information about what you do, who you serve, what are your strengths and weaknesses and your challenges, and then create a prompt with clear instructions, with an outcome, with some examples, and then you will get something that is much more relevant to what you actually need done. So section 4, why this matters. Why is everything that I've just mentioned so far important? Why do you need to know all of this, and why should you go now and take this information on board and start to implement it as soon as possible? Well, there's a few different reasons. First is the massive opportunity that we now have. Businesses desperately need AI translators. Like I mentioned before, businesses know they need to adopt AI, and a lot of businesses are feeling like they may be falling behind if they don't, but a lot of them don't really understand all of these new AI terms and lingo. So you need to be that person that can very clearly communicate to them what this means and how we actually can benefit them. And this is why it's another big opportunity for you to be this AI translator. The second thing is you're not selling tools, you're selling results. As mentioned before, you do not want to be someone who is just talking about tools and that you're really good at this specific software and using this specific software. You want to be someone who's providing results. So this is a very clear opportunity and a very clear shift that you need to have in the way that you convey your message to other businesses. And this skill is going to compound over time. We know that AI is only going to get more and more advanced. So the more you know now, the more you're able to identify clear business problems, think in business systems, and really now understand how AI is going to come in and benefit these businesses. The more you're going to be able to very quickly compound your skills, your fundamental understanding of all of these different ways to improve businesses. Because if you know more now, you're only going to find it easier to continue to stay on top of everything. Because I would say right now is probably a time where it can seem pretty complicated because of all these new tools and the vibe coding that's becoming a new trend. So if you can understand majority of the things right now, as new things come out, you just have to stay on top of all the latest models. But the more fundamentals you know now, the more you're able to have a competitive advantage because your skills have compounded. Now, there's an increasing demand. As AI moves faster, more and more people are going to want to adopt this. And we're seeing this at the moment. As I film this video, more people feel the need to jump on things like Claude Code, implement them into their workflows and their systems. So there's always going to be an increased demand because more people are feeling like, if I don't get on top of this now, I'm going to be falling behind my competitors and other businesses. So the demand is there. It's going to continue to be there. But the ones who understand it properly is where the actual opportunity is. And this is where you can step in. And then the last point is you can start to really charge premium rates for providing real value to businesses, because you're going to understand things that not many people do. You're going to be able to translate it and make it an easy, digestible way to businesses who thought that they wouldn't be able to understand these things. So naturally, by being able to show your clear value, you're going to charge premium rates, and businesses are going to be happy to pay you because they're going to see a clear outcome into what you're providing. So let's look at the value formula. You need to really have business knowledge. You need to understand the fundamentals of businesses, how their systems are run, what are the different areas of businesses, what are the important aspects. You need to very clearly identify problems in businesses, like we looked at before, and I showed you the examples. Really understand what problems businesses have. And then you want to add that with your clear AI communication. If you focus on these three areas, you will have a high value service. And then this could be packaged in the form of consulting, it could be an agency, it could be a program, whatever it is. If you have these three fundamental areas, you'll be able to have something that is a high value service packaged up in a way that works to your advantage and your preferences of providing a service, and you'll be ahead of a lot of people. So the last point I want to talk about is what to do next. What should you now go and focus on? And this is going to be your action plan. The first thing you want to do is learn the high leverage tools. Now, I know I've mentioned that it's not as important to learn every detail of the tools, but it's still going to be important to understand them, definitely, because you're going to be able to add this as part of your skill set. So something like Claude Code at the time of filming this video is probably the most popular AI tool at the moment, and I would say the most advanced. So learning something like Claude Code, understanding the fundamentals, this is what I'm doing at the moment, really getting my head around how this is going to improve businesses and their workflows and their systems. So learn these high leverage tools, but don't learn them to the extent where this is the only thing that you're doing. And then you want to pick 2 to 3 business models to study deeply, like the examples I mentioned before, your e-coms, info product, service-based businesses, whatever it is, pick 2 or 3 models and really study them. Look at the whole business system process. Look at what their customer journey is. Look at their main common problems of the businesses. Understand their systems and the way they monetize, because all these different areas will monetize in different ways. Some have recurring income, some have one-off products. Look at all of it and understand whatever is relevant to who you want to provide services to. identify the common high value problems. So don't just look at any sort of problem, look at the ones that are costing businesses the most amount of money, and then be able to find ways to provide solutions to them. And the last point that a lot of people will probably miss is practice translating these problems into good prompts. So like the example I gave before, you want to now take problems that you've identified in the previous few phases and then put them into a clear prompt that you can put into any AI model to be able to provide a clear plan and structure and then solution to their problem. And the message I want to leave you with is don't chase tools, become the translator, because that's going to help you make more money, because this is going to help you have your competitive advantage. It's going to make your skills compound over time. You're going to be in a market that is only increasing in demand. And at the end of the day, you're going to be able to have a business that can charge a lot of money, start to see some real growth, and offer something that is of high value. This is how you should start to think about learning AI and providing a high value skill. If you want all of these points and slides that I just went through in this video, I'll leave a link in the description below for you to get your own copy, so you can use it as a reference point as well. And if you would like to work with me directly, there will also be a link in the description below where I'll be able to help you implement the right AI structure into your business and find the understanding and the mix between the importance of marketing and technology and put them together to create something that's going to truly grow your business. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.